Victoria Cross stood in her marble kitchen, hands trembling as she poured her morning coffee. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of her Connecticut estate, she could see her son, her adopted son, playing basketball in the driveway. 17 years old, tall and graceful, with dark curly hair that caught the morning sun. Ethan, her entire world. And this morning, he'd asked the question she'd been dreading for 16 years. "Mom, I want to know about my real parents." The words had been soft, careful, but they'd hit her like a physical blow. Victoria had frozen, the breakfast spatula mid-flip, and managed to choke out, "We'll talk about it tonight, sweetheart." Now, hours later, she still hadn't figured out what to say. The memory came flooding back, as vivid as yesterday. Victoria had been 32, newly divorced, and desperately lonely in her sprawling mansion. Her ex-husband had left her for his secretary cliché, but devastating. The divorce settlement had been generous. Victoria had walked away with $42 million and a heart full of emptiness. She'd been driving home from her therapist one rainy October evening when she'd spotted a woman stumbling along the side of the highway. Even from a distance, Victoria could tell something was terribly wrong. She'd pulled over. The woman was young, maybe 19 or 20, and very, very pregnant. Her clothes were soaked, her face was bruised, and she was crying hysterically. "Please," the woman had gasped, "please help me. He's coming. He'll kill us both." Victoria had helped her into the Mercedes without hesitation. "Who's coming? What happened?" "My boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. He found out I was leaving. He said if he couldn't have me, no one could. He said he'd kill the baby." Victoria had driven straight to the hospital, her phone already dialing 911. But in the car, the woman who said her name was Maria had gone into labor. They hadn't made it to the hospital. Victoria had pulled into a 24-hour urgent care clinic. And there, with 2 nurses and 1 overwhelmed doctor, Maria had given birth to a baby boy, 7 pounds, 3 ounces, perfect in every way. But something had gone wrong. Postpartum hemorrhaging, severe, critical. Maria had held her baby for exactly 4 minutes before the blood loss became life-threatening. As the nurses rushed to stabilize her, Maria had grabbed Victoria's wrist with surprising strength. "Promise me," Maria had whispered, her face ghostly pale. "If I don't make it, promise me you'll keep him safe. Don't let him go into the system. Don't let him find my baby." "You're going to be fine," Victoria had insisted, even as the monitors screamed warnings. "Promise me." Maria's grip tightened. "I can see it in your eyes. You have love to give. Promise me you'll be his mother." "I promise." Maria had died 11 minutes later. She'd never even told them her last name. No ID, no wallet, nothing. Just a frightened young woman who'd trusted a stranger with her dying breath. Victoria had kept her promise. With her money and connections, the adoption had been fast-tracked. Within 6 months, Ethan Michael Cross was legally hers. The police had searched for Maria's killer boyfriend, but found nothing. No missing persons report matched, no suspects, no leads. Maria became Jane Doe 2847, buried in an unmarked grave that Victoria visited every year on Ethan's birthday. That evening, Victoria and Ethan sat in the library. Ethan's basketball scholarship letters from Duke, Stanford, and UCLA were spread across the coffee table, full rides, all of them. He was brilliant, not just at sports, but at everything. Straight A's, volunteer work, kindness that seemed to radiate from him naturally. "Mom, I'm not trying to hurt you," Ethan said carefully. I love you. You're my real mom in every way that matters. But I'm turning 18 next month, and I need to know where I came from. Medical history, at least. What if I have siblings? What if my birth parents are looking for me?" Victoria's heart shattered and mended simultaneously. He was so thoughtful, so careful with her feelings. "I understand," she said, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "You have every right to know. I'll tell you everything I know, but it's not much. Your birth mother died the day you were born. She never told me her full name." Ethan's face fell. "She died?" "Yes, sweetheart, complications during childbirth, but she loved you. In the 4 minutes she held you, I saw more love than some parents show in a lifetime. Her last words were about keeping you safe." "What about my father?" Victoria hesitated. She was running from him. She said he was dangerous, that he'd threatened to kill her and you. The police never found him. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. "So I'm the son of some violent criminal?" "No." Victoria's voice was fierce. "You're the son of a brave woman who died protecting you. And you're my son. Whatever DNA you carry, it doesn't define who you are. Your choices define you, Ethan. And every choice you've made has been remarkable." "I still want to know," Ethan said softly. "I need to try to find out who she was, who he was, even if the truth is ugly." Victoria nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll hire a private investigator, the best one money can buy. But Ethan, are you sure? Some truths can't be unknown." "I'm sure." Victoria hired Marcus Chen, a former FBI agent turned private investigator, who specialized in cold cases. She gave him everything she had: the date, the location, the description of Maria, the few words she'd spoken. "It's not much to go on," Marcus admitted, "but I've worked with less. Give me 6 weeks." 6 weeks felt like 6 years. Victoria watched Ethan go through his senior year, accepting the Duke scholarship, laughing with friends, never knowing that his mother barely slept, terrified of what Marcus might find. What if Ethan's father was a murderer, a rapist? What if there was some genetic darkness waiting to emerge? What if, and this was the fear that kept her awake at night, what if there were relatives who wanted Ethan back? People with a legal claim stronger than hers. The call came on a Tuesday morning. "Mrs. Cross, it's Marcus Chen. I found something. We need to meet in person. Today." Marcus sat across from Victoria in her home office, a manila folder in his hands. His face was unreadable, which terrified her more than if he'd looked sympathetic. "Before I show you this," Marcus said carefully, "I need to ask, are you prepared for your life to change completely?" Victoria's mouth went dry. "Just tell me." Marcus opened the folder. "I found her, Maria Elena Santiago. She was 19 when she died. And Mrs. Cross, I found her family." Victoria felt the room spin. Her family? She has had a mother and 2 younger sisters. They live about 40 miles from here. They've been looking for her for 16 years. "Oh my God!" Victoria's hand flew to her mouth. "They didn't know she was dead?" "No, Maria ran away from home when she was 18. Her family filed missing persons reports, searched for years. But Maria had been living under fake names, working cash jobs, staying off the grid. She was hiding. From Ethan's father?" Marcus's expression darkened. "We'll get to him. First, you need to understand Maria's family. Her mother, Carmen Santiago, is a housekeeper, single mother who raised 3 daughters on minimum wage. She's been sick for the past 5 years, heart condition, can't afford proper treatment. The 2 sisters, Rosa and Anna, are 29 and 27 now, both working multiple jobs to support their mother. Victoria felt sick. They're struggling. Severely. They're about to lose their house. And they don't know about Ethan. They know Maria was pregnant when she disappeared, but they never knew she had the baby or that she died. The system failed them. Maria was never properly identified because she had no ID and didn't match any missing persons reports from that specific jurisdiction. She fell through the cracks. Victoria was crying now. Those poor women, 16 years of not knowing. There's more, Marcus said quietly. I found Ethan's father. Victoria's tears stopped. Who is he? Marcus slid a photograph across the desk. A man, mid-40s now, wearing an expensive suit. Handsome, polished, successful-looking. His name is Richard Castellano. He's a real estate developer, worth about $60 million, married with 2 kids. He threatened to kill Maria and their baby, and now he's just living a normal life. It gets worse. Marcus's jaw tightened. I did some deep digging. Richard has a history. 3 previous girlfriends filed restraining orders against him, all withdrawn after he paid them off. One woman ended up in the hospital with a broken jaw. He's violent, controlling, and his family's money has kept him untouchable. Victoria felt rage building in her chest. Does he know about Ethan? No, I'm certain of that. Maria was smart. She hid the pregnancy, she ran, and she made sure he couldn't find her. But Mrs. Cross, here's the legal reality. If Richard Castellano found out he has a 17-year-old son who's about to inherit from you, who's headed to Duke on a full ride, who has a trust fund worth millions, he could sue for custody rights. He'll never touch my son. Victoria's voice was steel. Never. And Maria's family? Marcus asked gently. They're Ethan's grandmother, his aunts. They have a legitimate emotional claim, even if not a legal one. What are you going to do? Victoria stared at the folder, at the photographs of 3 women who looked so much like Ethan, it was startling. Carmen Santiago had Ethan's eyes. Rosa had his smile. Anna had his curly hair. They were his family, his blood. And they'd been suffering while she'd lived in luxury with their precious boy. Victoria called Ethan into her office that evening. He found her sitting with the folder, her eyes red from crying. Mom, what's wrong? What did the investigator find? Victoria couldn't speak for a moment. Then, sit down, sweetheart. I need to tell you everything. She did, every detail. Maria's death, the family that had been searching, the father who was a monster, the grandmother who was dying, the aunts who were struggling. When she finished, Ethan was silent, tears streaming down his face. I have a grandmother, he whispered. Aunts. Yes. And my father is a dangerous man who can never know about you. Marcus has advised we get a restraining order preemptively, just in case. Ethan nodded slowly, then, I want to meet them. My grandmother and aunts, is that okay? Victoria's heart broke and soared simultaneously. Of course it is. They're your family. So are you, Ethan said fiercely, grabbing her hand. You're my mom. That will never change. But they've been looking for me, for any trace of Maria, for 16 years. They deserve to know I'm okay, that I'm loved, that Maria's last act was making sure I had the best life possible. Victoria pulled him into a hug, both of them crying. You're exactly who she hoped you'd be, kind, thoughtful, generous. She'd be so proud. Will you come with me when I meet them? Wild horses couldn't keep me away. 2 days later, Victoria and Ethan stood on the porch of a small, run-down house in a modest neighborhood. Victoria could hear her heart pounding in her ears. Ethan knocked. The door opened, and a woman in her 60s stood there frail, with an oxygen tank, but with eyes exactly like Ethan's. Carmen Santiago gasped. "Maria?" she whispered, then shook her head. "No, but you have her eyes. Who are you?" "My name is Ethan," he said, his voice shaking. I think I'm your grandson." Carmen's knees buckled. Ethan caught her, and suddenly, 2 other women were there. Rosa and Anna, all of them crying, touching. Ethan's face, unable to believe he was real. "Maria's baby," Carmen sobbed. "You're Maria's baby. We never knew. Oh, my baby girl. My sweet Maria." Victoria stood back, tears flowing freely, as Ethan met his biological family. The love was immediate and overwhelming. They peppered him with questions, showed him pictures of Maria as a child, told him stories about her. "She was so smart," Rosa said. "She wanted to be a nurse. She was saving money for college when she met him." "Richard Castellano," Victoria said quietly. It was the first time she'd spoken. All 3 women turned to her, their expressions hardening. "You know," Anna said flatly, "I hired an investigator. I know everything." Victoria stepped forward. "I'm Victoria Cross. I'm the woman who found Maria the night Ethan was born. I'm the woman she asked to raise him. And I need you to know I loved him from the moment I held him. He's been my son in every way that matters." Carmen studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "I can see it. I can see the love. Maria chose well." "I have something for you," Victoria said, pulling out a folder. "These are photographs I've taken of Ethan every year on his birthday at Maria's grave. I visit every year. I tell her about him. I thought you might want them." Carmen took the folder with shaking hands and opened it. Photographs of Ethan at every age, 1, 5, 10, 15, standing beside a grave, sometimes smiling, sometimes serious, always loved. "You did this," Carmen whispered. "Every year?" "Every year. She saved his life by trusting me. It was the least I could do." Carmen began to sob, and Rosa and Anna held her. Ethan looked at Victoria with such pride and love that she thought her heart might burst. They talked for hours. Victoria learned about Maria's childhood, her dreams, her fears. She shared stories about Ethan's life, his first steps, his first words, his first basketball game. Finally, as the evening grew late, Victoria said, "I need to discuss something with all of you, something important." Everyone turned to look at her. "Carmen, Rosa, Anna, you're Ethan's family. You've been robbed of 16 years with him, and that's not fair. I can't give you back that time, but I can give you the future." She pulled out another folder. "I've had my lawyers draw up papers. First, I'm paying off your house. It's yours, free and clear. Second, Carmen, I'm covering all of your medical expenses. You'll have the best cardiologist in the state." "We can't accept," Rosa started, but Victoria held up her hand. "Third, I'm setting up trust funds for each of you, $2 million each. You'll never have to worry about money again. And fourth," she turned to Ethan, "I'm setting up a foundation in Maria's name, the Maria Elena Santiago Memorial Foundation. It will help young women escaping domestic violence. It will provide health care, housing, legal support, and protection." Everyone was silent, stunned. "But there's one condition," Victoria continued, her voice soft. "You have to let me stay in Ethan's life. You have to let me be his mother, too. I'm not trying to replace Maria. No one could. but I've loved him for 16 years and I can't lose him. Carmen stood up, walked over to Victoria, and pulled her into a hug. You're not losing him, you're gaining us. We're family now, all of us. The Maria Elena Santiago Memorial Foundation's grand opening was held at a beautiful new center downtown. Ethan stood at the podium wearing his Duke University sweatshirt, flanked by Victoria on one side and Carmen, Rosa, and Anna on the other. My birth mother died saving me, Ethan said, his voice carrying through the packed room. She didn't have money or resources or power. All she had was love and hope. She trusted a stranger with her last breath. And that stranger became my mom. He looked at Victoria, who was crying. Mom, you could have walked away. You could have let me go into foster care. But you kept your promise. You loved me. You gave me everything. Then he turned to Carmen and his aunts. And my grandmother and aunts never stopped looking for their missing daughter and sister. They never gave up hope. That's the kind of love that transcends death. He held up a photograph of Maria, young and smiling, from before she met Richard Castellano. This foundation exists because of her. Every woman we help, every life we save is her legacy. She didn't get to live her dreams, but we can help other women live theirs. The crowd erupted in applause. After the ceremony, a young woman approached Ethan nervously. She was maybe 20, with a black eye badly covered with makeup and a small child on her hip. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "I saw the news about this place. I need help. My boyfriend. He's like the man in the story. He's dangerous, and I have nowhere to go." Ethan looked at Victoria, who nodded immediately. "You're safe now," Victoria said, gently touching the woman's shoulder. "That's what we're here for. Let's get you and your baby somewhere secure." As they walked the woman inside, Ethan hung back for a moment. He pulled out his phone and looked at a photograph of Maria in the hospital, holding him, 4 minutes before she died. Victoria had managed to get the photo from the hospital records. "I hope I'm making you proud, Mom," he whispered. "Both of you." 1 week after the foundation opened, Richard Castellano's lawyer called Victoria. "Mrs. Cross, my client saw the news coverage of your foundation. He's very interested in the story of Maria Elena Santiago. He'd like to meet." Victoria's blood turned to ice. "Why?" "He knew a Maria Santiago once. He'd like to confirm it's not the same woman." Victoria hung up and immediately called Marcus Chen. "He knows. What do we do?" "We fight. I've already compiled evidence of his history of abuse. If he tries to claim paternity, we'll bury him." But Victoria had a better idea. She called Ethan, Carmen, Rosa, and Anna to her house. Together, they made a plan. 2 days later, Richard Castellano arrived at the foundation for a private tour. He was escorted to a conference room where he found not Victoria, but Carmen Santiago, flanked by her daughters and Ethan. Richard went pale. "You're Maria's family," Carmen said coldly, "and you're the monster who killed her." "I never touched her. I don't know what she told you, but—" "We have restraining orders from 3 other women," Rosa interrupted. "We have hospital records. We have testimony." "And we have me," Ethan said, standing up. Richard looked at him, really looked, and saw Maria's eyes staring back. "You're mine," Richard whispered. "No," Ethan said firmly. "I'm theirs, my mother's, my grandmother's, my aunt's. You're nothing to me. A sperm donor with a history of violence. And if you ever try to contact me or my family again, we'll file charges for Maria's death. coercive control leading to death. It's chargeable now. Marcus Chen stepped out from behind a two-way mirror where he'd been recording everything. And I'll personally make sure every news outlet in America knows exactly what kind of man you are. Your choice, Castellano. Walk away now or we destroy you. Richard Castellano looked around the room at the faces united against him and made the only choice he could. He left and never came back. A year later, Duke University graduation. Ethan walked across the stage to receive his degree, and the crowd erupted not just polite applause, but genuine celebration. In the front row sat Victoria, Carmen, looking healthier after her surgery, Rosa, Anna, and dozens of women from the foundation. Women who'd been saved, protected, and given new lives. Ethan's valedictorian speech was short but powerful. My mother taught me that love is a choice. She chose to save me with her dying breath. My mom chose to keep her promise to a stranger. My grandmother and aunts chose to never stop searching. And every woman in this foundation has chosen to keep living, keep fighting, keep loving despite what they've survived. He held up his diploma. This degree isn't just mine. It belongs to every person who loved me into existence. Maria, Victoria, Carmen, Rosa, Anna, and every woman who refused to let violence win. After the ceremony, Victoria and Carmen stood together, watching Ethan pose for pictures with his aunts. She'd be so proud, Carmen said softly. She is, Victoria replied. Wherever she is, she's watching, and she knows her baby boy became everything she hoped. Carmen squeezed Victoria's hand. Thank you for loving him. Thank you for sharing him. This story is dedicated to every child searching for their identity, every adoptive parent afraid of losing their child, and every birth parent who made an impossible choice out of love. Family isn't just about blood, it's about who shows up, who stays, who loves unconditionally. You are not defined by where you came from. You are defined by who you choose to be. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video if you believe in the power of kindness, and family comment below. What does family mean to you? Share your story. Your words might inspire someone who needs hope today. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our stories of hope, redemption, and extraordinary kindness. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that love transcends biology, that second chances exist, and that one act of kindness can change everything.